The fast-moving McKinney Fire in Northern California near the Oregon border has forced 2,000 residents to evacuate. Already the largest blaze in California so far this year, the McKinney Fire in Siskiyou County has scorched an estimated 30,000 to 40,000 acres. It was about 1% contained as of Saturday, according to the latest data shared by officials. More than 2 decades of drought and rising temperatures exacerbated by climate change have made California more vulnerable than ever to wildfires. This is the second major wildfire faced by California this season after the Oak Fire near Yosemite National Park. That fire is now 59% contained.
Well, for a little bit more on this, we're now joined by SABC correspondent Ira Spitzer, who's in California. Ira, thanks so much indeed for joining us. What do we know about where this fire is and the state of play?
Well, drought and extremely hot temperatures as well as strong winds have really helped fuel this fire over the last couple days, and it has grown very quickly to now cover more than 200 square kilometers. And as you mentioned there, containment at this point is very low, only about 1%. So this is a sparsely populated area of the state at the Klamath National Forest near California's border with Oregon. It's very hard for authorities to reach some parts of where this fire is burning. So that is one challenge that is happening right now. Also, the large amount of smoke that the fire has been emitting made it almost impossible to send up aircraft on Sunday, which would have been one way to try and help get this fire under control. And certainly a lot of danger still remains. There is potential lightning in the forecast in that region. And when you have lightning around a wildfire, the potential there is for other fires to start around there and potentially create what's called a mega fire, where several smaller fires kind of join with the big fire to make the task of fighting it even more difficult. We've also had the first 2 known fatalities from the McKinney Fire. 2 people were found dead in their vehicle over the weekend, trying to presumably flee this fast-moving fire. So really a dangerous situation right now unfolding in the north of California, certainly the biggest wildfire that the state has seen this year so far.
I believe that there are a number of other smaller fires that have manifested at this time as well.
Right, exactly. So because of the drought conditions especially, and we're in the 3rd year of what's considered a severe drought, and this follows other periods of drought earlier in the decade. So because of those dry conditions and the fact that right now we're just beginning the month of August, so this is always a very dry season in California. So because the drought has really created an abundance of fuel for these fires to start. Now it's just incredibly easy for fires to start. Now we don't know how this fire started. Sometimes these have been caused by lightning strikes, sometimes by even a lit cigarette, for example, could start one of these wildfires, or a downed power line is another common source of wildfire starts. But whatever the source is, the reality is that the ground here in California and across much of the U.S. West is really susceptible to wildfires right now because of those drought conditions. And the fire season here typically lasts through October, so we still have perhaps 3 months to go where we could see continued fire activity, perhaps more severe fires. We don't know yet, but this McKinney Fire is perhaps certainly a bad sign given where we are in the year.
So this is something that seems to happen every year. And is there not much authorities can do to preempt? Right.
Well, certainly California does have a fire danger every year, and this has been going on for centuries. But what we've seen, certainly in the last couple decades, is this fire season become more dangerous. We're seeing bigger fires, we're seeing more frequent fires, and experts believe that is as a result of climate change, because we're seeing these more extreme temperatures and more extreme drought conditions, which allow these fires to start and then to spread. Now, certainly authorities have found themselves on the back foot trying to figure out how to stay in front of these fires, and one of the major challenges is just the geographic size of California, of the regions which are especially prone to fires. It can often be hard to do the work that might need to be done to whether it's prescribed burns or changing the way that structures are built in those areas. It's just a lot of ground to cover, so that's been one problem. But yes, certainly people are demanding more action from local and state authorities. Building, there's been a lot of calls to either to stop building so much in these fire-prone areas, or at the very least to take construction measures to ensure that the homes themselves are not providing vital fuel for these fires, create more fireproof homes, and also encourage residents or force residents to have more defensible space around their homes. But this all takes time, and as we see right now with this McKinney fire, once that fire starts, there is no more time to prepare, because the only thing that people can do is evacuate. So a scary situation, and something that really has gotten worse in California and the U.S. West over the past decade, it seems.
Are residents cooperating in terms of evacuating? You often hear people who just are so attached to their properties, they just don't want to leave.
Right. In almost every wildfire in California, there are examples of residents who don't leave and perhaps try to even defend their property themselves, which is highly inadvisable given the massive size of these fires. We haven't heard reports yet from this fire about that happening, largely perhaps because it's hard to access the fire zone because of the danger both to authorities and just to residents right now. I do think that people are taking wildfires much, much more seriously now than perhaps they did a decade ago, and that is because we've seen tremendous loss of life, tremendous loss of property as a result of wildfires. So I don't think there's anyone in California who is now unaware of the fact that if there is an evacuation order, there is a reasonable chance that fire could arrive. But despite that, of course, just people have their own mentality sometimes with how seriously to take these threats, and unfortunately we have seen people in the past ignore those evacuation orders.
So what is the status now? Is this fire growing, or is it just big and they're managing to maintain what it is at the moment?
This fire, based on the latest information that we have, is a threat to keep growing, and the officials, well, they are of course in the vicinity of the fire and taking some mitigation measures to try and control the spread. They really have not had success so far, and there's a town that perhaps this fire could yet reach, which would be, it's a small town, but that would certainly enhance the amount of destruction possible. There's other roads where the fire could reach if it's not extinguished or at least contained by authorities. So this is an active situation. In 24 hours, things could look much worse. Hopefully they'll look better if the weather changes, or if fire fighting efforts are able to make some progress. But right now, this fire is just burning out of control, and authorities have yet to really make a strong push to get that fire under control as of yet.
All right, I've run out of time, but perhaps this final question, if you could answer briefly. The governor of California has declared a state of emergency. What does this do in terms of helping him deal with this crisis?
So by declaring that state of emergency in Siskiyou County, which is the county where the majority of that fire is burning right now, it would allow both federal aid and state aid directed towards emergencies such as wildfires to be deployed more quickly without any sort of red tape because of this state of emergency. So that California's Governor Gavin Newsom over the weekend declaring the state of emergency as soon as it became clear that this would be an all hands on deck, all resources available type of situation because of the immense danger both to the people in the path of that fire and of the fire potentially spreading wider.
Ira Spitzer, that's where we'll leave it. Thank you very, very much indeed. That's our correspondent in California, telling us, giving us an update on the McKinney Fire, which has caused so much damage. And it's very hard to quantify just how much at this stage, but sadly, it seems as if 2 people may have lost their lives already.